Welcome back to the Ready Room. I am your host, Brittany McLean Campbell, and we are continuing the conversations ahead of the Para World Championships coming up right around the corner, beginning on September 21st. And my goal is for you to feel like you've better gotten to know some of the athletes that are representing Team Canada. And with that, I'm really looking forward to my chat today with our guest. She is a three-time Paralympian. She's also a Paralympic finalist and happens to have a World Championship medal as well. One of my favorite facts about her, though, she is a member of the Canadian Paralympic Committee's Athlete Council, which means she is an advocate for all of her other Paralympic teammates to make sure they are making the most and getting their voice heard within this sport. With that, please welcome from Quebec City, or from Kingston, but joining us now from Quebec City, Abi Tripp.
Thank you so much for having me.
Abi, thanks so much for being here.
It's so exciting to be here, and I can't wait to have a good chat.
We are so thrilled that you were able to take some time. I know it's a busy time. We're going to start with the lead up to Worlds, what you're currently going through. I know some people are always curious about, those final weeks leading up. I'll throw it to you. How's the final preparation going? Have you started taper yet? Are you excited about traveling? Where are you at with all that?
I mean, it's just about getting calm and uh, letting the preparations happen. So, continued training. I haven't quite started a taper yet, but I have a 400 in the schedule for Worlds, so still need to keep the volume up. But the suitcase is out and it's getting packed, so I'll have those things out of my mind before we head off for the big flight.
Yeah, and speak to that big flight because I know we were just chatting. You have quite the travel coming up. Your training camp is in Thailand. So, what's the travel schedule look like for you?
It's gonna be a very busy one. I think it's gonna be the longest travel day I've ever had. And we have a nice 15-hour flight from Canada to Hong Kong to start it off. So just getting ready to hopefully get a decent sleep on the flight. I mean, as best possible. And I mean, we've done it before, so just having all the snacks, the hydration, to just get settled in.
Yeah, I was just going to ask, are you normally able to sleep on flights? Because that's a key win if you can.
No, it's not my strength
Mhm.
at all, but I'm getting ready mentally, and I think that if I could just, yeah, just get a good book in or some calming music, maybe that will put me to sleep.
Absolutely. It's one of those things is like the less you think about it, the more likely you are to fall asleep. But then all you're thinking about is trying to fall asleep. But it's just such a cycle. That was my biggest thing while swimming. I could never fall asleep before a big meet. And then I would always think about, okay, why have I not fallen asleep? And it was just like an endless spiral. But you know what? All you can do, I always say, if your eyes are closed, like you said, maybe put the quiet music on. You're relaxing, you're resting, you're rejuvenating your body in some way, and that's better than nothing. So I hope you go into your flight with a little bit of that mindset and know that you're banking a ton of rest in these lead up weeks. That I'm sure you'll have some good time before you get going into racing, which we're going to talk about because you have a bit of a busy schedule. You are confirmed to swim the 50 free, the 100 free, and the 400 free. Am I correct?
Yes, yeah, and a
Okay.
nice three freestyles.
Yeah, and I just wanted to start by asking, how does somebody, you specifically, train for something like the 50 free that is splash and dash, the shortest race in the book, all the way up to the 400 free, which is known to be a distance event?
Yeah, that's a great question. I think for me, I love the distance. For my disability, I find that I can settle in a way with my nervous system, and I like doing the longer distance, and it's fun to race too because it's kind of like a consistent strategy, and I've always loved pacing, so 400 is my little like I really enjoyed the race. And then the 50, I mean, it's a splash and dash. It's all about getting off the block as fast as possible. And so I work all of those like energy systems when we're training. So we'll have some sprint days, we'll have some volume days, and kind of just get the full smorgasbord
Yep.
of training and competing. But it keeps things interesting, which I think is a lot of fun.
I love it. You're a versatile queen, and you can go have fun in everything from the 50 all the way to the four. I do relate to a lot of what you said in the 400. I feel like getting into that rhythm and the groove is so key and what makes the race so exciting to watch, but also to swim. I wondered if you're able to give us any insight into your goals for the meet. What are you hoping to accomplish in Singapore?
I think the main thing for me is just to soak it all in, and just let my training do the talking, and uh, just be confident in my training and where I'm at. And so the goals are just to really take the opportunity to race. I mean, I didn't get to race 100 free at the Paralympics last summer because it's not offered in my category S8 during the Paralympics. It's only at World Championships. So that's a little special thing about Worlds is I have the opportunity to do the 50, the 100, and the 400 all in one competition. So it's really taking the opportunities. It's the most important thing for me when it comes to this point in my career.
And speaking of this point in your career, you've been on this national team since you were 14, which is incredibly young. And you've seen kind of different classes of people come through. You've been the youngster. You're now kind of one of the veterans and one of the leaders on the team. I wondered, with this group going to Singapore, what excites you most about this team?
I love the huge mix of team members that we have for this team. We have some rookies, we have some like first time world championship swimmers. We have like the whole spectrum of athletes, and that's what really gets me excited, because we can just see how people respond to being at such a big meet, and it's a real stepping stone for some in their careers. It's the start of something, and for others it's kind of we've been there several times that we can share our wisdom. And I think it's very valuable to have the whole group. And a change in personalities. There's a lot of like Orly is not there this year. She's focusing on school. So there's an opportunity for the youngsters to really step up and just embrace being on the national team, and it's exciting.
I love that perspective. And I think it's so important for them to have people like you where they can be guided and inspired. But you bring up such a good point because that post Paralympic year has the ability to just like blow things wide open. Some people will retire, not as many retirements necessarily, but some people took breaks too. So there's just like it's exactly that opportunity, right? No matter what you're going through this year, try your best, and really, really fast performances can take place. We saw that on the Olympic discipline side, where there were world records broken by multiple athletes, and you don't really see that in a post-Olympic and Paralympic year. But I am looking forward to seeing the time drops that are possible in Singapore. With that, I did want to get some of your insights in the process of classification because that's constantly a question that comes up, and I think you have a very interesting story. You've been everything from an S10 early in your career to an SB7 to an S8, and I wondered if you can just kind of like share your journey with our viewers of how that process looked like for you when you were younger and how you got to the classification you're at today.
Yeah, I think classification is complex. And in my case, with my physical impairment, I have cerebral palsy. I was born with cerebral palsy, so I've had it my whole life. Um, and when I got started in swimming, the S10 really just gave me an opportunity to be identified as a para athlete so that I could just focus on my training and evolve in the sport. in a way, as a para athlete. And then later on, once I had mastered all four strokes and had more consistency in the water, they could really identify what was impairment and what was like they're really the classification is trying to differentiate between what's your impairment and what might be just like technical errors in the pool. And swimming is such a technical sport, so it's a real challenge for classifiers to figure that out. But later on in my career, I was became an S8, and that really just opened the door for me. I really felt like I was in the right space, competing against athletes with similar levels of impairment. And since then, it kind of just it evolved from there. And I've always been an S8. And back when I was getting started in my career, there was many S8s in Canada, and we called ourselves the Super Eights. And some of them have retired or changed categories since then. But it was just we embraced our classification.
Oh,
And
that.
then in 2017 I became an SB7, so in breaststroke. I was like moved down one category because of my legs, and the way they respond in breaststroke, because you got to do the good old frog kick. And that's something I really have a challenge doing. So but breaststroke ended up becoming my best stroke for several years, until recently my legs don't do the frog kick really anymore. And I had a couple class disqualifications because of my lack of frog kick that turned into more of a dolphin kick, which is legal. So I ended up just going back to my roots in freestyle, and I'm really enjoying it.
Well, thank you for that overview. I feel like that information is so interesting to learn. I do want to ask a follow up in the breaststroke, but before I do, I think I wanted to make sure I got clarity because you spoke about your S8 sisters, which I love. I also saw you had a few pictures on your social that were like my CP girls. Not everyone with cerebral palsy would be in the same S8 category, correct?
That is very correct.
Okay.
Thank you for mentioning that. I think it's really important for listeners to understand is that our impairments, even though we might have the same diagnosis, might not impact us the same way. So cerebral palsy is one of those that it impacts every individual very differently. We might have similarities, but there are of course many differences. So in my case, I mean, I was lucky to share the pool and share a huge chunk of my career with some amazing girls with CP, and we were in the same category. However, each of us had a very different version of cerebral palsy. So that's kind of it's a fun little thing that we just embrace because it's quirky, but it's part of who we are.
And it's community, and it's also a reminder that, everyone's going through something different no matter, what the number says on paper or what the diagnosis says in the doctor's office. And I think you're a constant reminder of that, and your story shares so many different layers. I know when we first spoke, you made it very clear how important it was to kind of share that understanding that not everyone is going through the same thing. You're also different, but in a beautiful way. You're coming together to represent Canada, and we'll continue to talk about that. But moving on to the breaststroke conversation, because this really was not necessarily like a positive interest to me, but I just thought that was very interesting that you went from, getting this new SB7 classification, making you one of the world's best in breaststroke. And then now you're swimming breaststroke at a world class level. You were on the podium at world championships in that event, at the 100 breaststroke. And then all of a sudden, you're now starting to get disqualified. Is that not such a emotionally draining process to know you've put so much into a race and then you touch the wall, and unfortunately because of, the movement of your legs, you end the race with a disqualification?
Yeah, for me, it was definitely like traumatizing. I had to get a lot of help with mental performance preparation and a psychologist to try and figure out a way to continue to compete in breaststroke and to regain the confidence in my body. Because that's a huge thing when you're an athlete at this level as you train and you prepare and you do all the things, but then when it doesn't work in the moment that matters, it really plays a game in your head. And for me, I at first I was able to really like gain some strength from it in a way. I was like, I can't do any worse than getting disqualified. And if I can get the right help and physio, massage, and the strengthening the different areas where I might have weakness, we can figure it out. But I think after Paris, like in Paris, I swam 100 breaststroke and I wasn't disqualified, which I was happy about. But at the same time, the performance was way further behind where I wanted it to be. And the mental strain that it really put on my training as a whole, and just the way that I carried myself through competition, I really didn't see that it was worthwhile for me to continue with that because I wasn't happy. And we always say like a happy swimmer is a fast swimmer, and in my case I need to be happy. I need to be enjoying myself to really make the most of it. I mean, we spend so much time in the water training, and it can be lonely at times, but it really does take a lot of confidence. So for me, switching back to freestyle and kind of reinventing myself has just okay, brought me like a a different vibe this year, and I'm enjoying it a lot more.
That's so incredible to hear too, because it seems like you take that very difficult position you were put in where you feel like you're doing everything you possibly can to set yourself up for success. And yet it doesn't always go the way you need it to go. And you kind of brought the control element back because instead of letting that take you down, letting that stress you out, you've decided I'm going to focus on the one thing I know I can do really well and I enjoy doing, which is freestyle. And I'm really excited for you this season to see how that kind of transforms through to the results at Worlds, which is great. But we do have some business to attend when it comes to your early days in your career because I would love to know more about where it all began. I know for you, 2015 at the Paralympian Games was a very special time for you. I totally agree. That kind of summer in Toronto was so exciting to compete on home soil, was amazing. You were only 14 years old. So we're also celebrating the 10-year anniversary of the Pan Am and Para-Pan Am Games, which is crazy. That's already been 10 years. I want to know how that set you up for the rest of your career. You almost see that as like the first stepping stone toward what now is three-time Paralympian Abi Tripp. So what was that experience like?
For me, it was the learning experience that I really needed to step up in a way. I remember, I mean, at 14, I mean, the world is your oyster. You have absolutely no pressure. And actually, funny story, I was a backstroker back
Mhm.
then, and my best shot at a medal was in the 100-meter backstroke. And I was so excited that I false started by like the smallest margin. So I was disqualified, but I wasn't even like that sad. I was just like, just super pumped
I
because
love
at
that.
14, I mean, it's okay to make those little mistakes and get those jitters behind you, and then for the rest of the meet it was just about racing. About I swam like every single event I possibly could, and I was just wanting to try and keep up with my older and more experienced teammates, and I just soaked it all in, and the crowd was absolutely phenomenal. Like I can still hear it as if it was yesterday. And I ended up placing fourth in all of my other events,
Oh no.
and and even in by like the smallest of margins. But again, it's For me, it was not a loss. It was not a disappointment. It was not a failure. It was very much like just the first time for young Abby to see what it was like to perform at that level, and it set the path in motion towards Rio in 2016, and really showed me like what it would take to step onto that Paralympic team a year later. And I was like, yeah, I'm ready now. I've done it. I've had this taste of international competition, of getting to wear the maple leaf and the pride that it brings and the amazing camaraderie within the team. And it was the start.
That's so, like, important to talk about. I also came 4th at the Pan Am Games, so I feel like we're 4th place sisters there. We can own that space and know that there was bigger things ahead for the both of us, which is great. And sometimes the short touches are what motivate you towards getting on the podium at a future date. So, yeah, I did want to ask you
Exactly.
about Rio because you've spoken about how special that opportunity was for you. Anybody's first Olympic or Paralympic Games holds a special place in their heart, but it sounds like for you, this one was extra special. Can you tell me about what it meant for you to compete at the Paralympic Games in Rio?
Well, for me, it was very much like this dream that I had since like '08. And even I qualified for trials in 2012, but didn't end up going because I was 11 at the time, and we decided, okay, like we'll put the brakes on it. But I did go to watch one day, and it was just I knew I had to be there, and I would have to take that opportunity in 4 years time. And I had this crazy intensity as a kid. I learned how to draw a maple leaf, and they were everywhere
Oh.
on my desk at school. Sorry, teachers. And just it was really part of my everyday life. I wanted to be on Team Canada. I wanted to go to the Paralympics, and age was really just a number. Some people were like, "Oh, well, you can get ready for Tokyo 2020 when you're 19," but I was like, "No, Rio 2016, I'm doing it." So I think that single-mindedness that I had at that age, and just I didn't have any like mental barriers at all. So I knew like just if I put my head down and did the work and enjoyed the process, that I could do it. And when trials came around, it was just PB after PB, Paralympic standard after Paralympic standard, and it was like one of the best meets of my life. But I had the best support team around me. I had my parents, my coaches, my teammates, and it was just about having fun all the time. And just every time I got to race, I was just excited and ready to go. So I find myself lucky to be able to have had that experience for sure.
And what's continued to keep you motivated in this sport? I mean, we're looking almost 10 years down the road from the story you're previously telling. How do you keep setting new goals and staying motivated?
I think I mean, in para swimming, the thing that makes it really interesting is we don't know where the limit is, uh, because everybody has different physical impairments. There's several different categories. Like it's still young in the span of sport in general. So what really pushes me is that like how fast can I go? How fast like how much can I push myself? And I've changed events and strokes over the years, and I just enjoy that process, that the learning of it, and I enjoy the training. And so that's really what keeps me motivated. And now that I'm a veteran, I'm able to kind of share my experiences and be there for my younger teammates and or the ones that are just coming onto the scene. And I really enjoy that because at one point I was in their shoes, and I really leaned on my teammates who were the veterans at the time. So now that I get that experience is it's very special and it's a privilege.
It is such a privilege. So thank you for that reminder. And speaking of not knowing the limits, is it true that you grew up aspiring or wanting to be Michael Phelps?
Yes, yeah. I had a DVD of my every single race from Beijing 2008. So all of his gold medal races. I probably watched it 5 times. I didn't have cable TV growing up, so we just had like a box TV with rabbit ears and a couple DVDs. So that one was my default, and I watched it on repeat, and I thought I should be Michael Phelps until I realized I have CP.
Until
So
reality
it's
struck,
not
but
gonna work out for me. But then I figured out, well, there's something called the Paralympics, and that's where a kid with a disability could go and be the a different version of Michael Phelps.
you are a very different version, but an incredible version of Michael Phelps and everything you're continuing to achieve. So I love that story, and also the throwback to DVDs and the TVs with the antennas in the box, everything all awesome. I did want to talk to you a bit about your advocacy work because, like I said, you are on the Canadian Paralympic Committee Athlete Council, and it's really important for athletes not only from various amounts of sports, but like you said, with various amounts of disabilities, and to be able to like share a common voice. And you represent not only yourself, but your entire swim team and other Paralympians that are achieving great things in sport. So, what first inspired you to get involved?
I think the first thing that inspired me was the opportunity to learn more about the behind the scenes of sport. I think there's so much going on that as athletes sometimes in our regular day to day and our competitions where we don't see that's happening, and all the planning and the people that advocate for sport, and that's so important. So I just wanted to get involved and see what I could learn, and then from there, after I'd gotten a bit more experience, knowing when I could really share my voice, share the voice of swimming, of other Paralympians, and grow the sport in a way. I mean, the Paralympic movement is young too, so it's about growing the awareness of Paralympic sports so that young kids, when they come up in the system, just like I did, they'll have the resources and they'll have the support and the knowledge that this there's a place in sport for them, which I think is super important.
And it is so important. So yes, absolutely. But I wondered if there are any other athletes listening right now. Is it something you'd recommend? I know your term is coming to an end at some point. So is it something you'd recommend that other Paralympians get involved in?
For sure. If it's something, if you enjoy working in a team, I mean, it's welcome to team sports, but if you enjoy working as a team and getting to know other sports and maybe perhaps like getting out of your sport a little bit and getting wider perspectives and meeting new people and just listening, learning, and advocating, I think being a part of a council, either with Swimming Canada or other sports or with the CPC or COC, it's a great place to be.
Also a great thing to put on your resume as well, which I know not everyone thinks about
For
right
sure.
away, but it is a really big thing when it comes to applying for jobs down the road. People look at that type of
Mhm.
thing and think, that's really great that you're the type of person that puts your hand up and tries something new. So, yeah, good for you. But whether it's your experience on the CPC Athlete Council or your experience as an athlete, I wondered if you're able to leave us with a lasting thought of something that you wish more people understood about Paralympic sport.
That's a wonderful question. I think for me, the biggest thing that people need to understand about Paralympic sport is the huge like complexity of it, but also the inclusiveness of it. It's diverse, it's exciting. No athlete is the same to another athlete, and it's a place where you can really evolve and challenge yourself, just like in any sport or any facet of life. But it teaches you so much, and it's very much worth the go. No matter what level you find yourself, it's a wonderful community, and it's going to continue to grow and evolve in the coming years. And I recommend getting involved because it's going to be exciting.
It is so exciting. I mean, even if you weren't watching the Paralympics last summer, I don't know what you're doing because it's one of the most exciting moments in sports. And you still have an opportunity to watch some Paralympic discipline swimming coming up in only 2-ish weeks. So, September 21st, like I mentioned. My last thought for you, Abby, because you're studying online at Yorkville University in interior design. So, before I let you go, I need to know, can you design my condo? And if so, what's your price?
I could definitely design your condo for sure.
Okay.
I have no idea the price. I haven't done my budgeting course yet.
Fair enough. Okay, so you finish your degree and then we'll have a conversation because I am always in for I'm one of those people that when it comes to design, I like personal touches without being like in your face like this is tacky, but I like my art to mean something. I like my like space to have kind of like feel the love if that makes sense. So, I'll send you my brief. We'll sit down. I live in a very small place and we just got a puppy too, so there's really no space in it, but I'm excited to see what you can potentially do with that. Last but not least, like what kind of got you into interior design and what do you love most about it?
I mean, I think, and I landed there very without expecting to, in a way. I was studying psychology, and in my first year class, there's intro to psychology, and my prof was talking about how important it is to have a very good office to meet with clients or patients, to have a calming atmosphere that's comfortable so that they can share their experiences. And I was like, oh, this is going to be amazing. I'm going to have the best office ever. And then a year later, I just searched interior design on the internet. Didn't really know what it was. And then I figured out, well, this is really creative and exciting and sounds like something I would actually enjoy doing as a career. So that's how I kind of tumbled into interior design.
That's so fun too because it truly was it started with like I'm focusing now more on the office design than I am on the idea of seeing patients in this office, which is so real.
Exactly.
I love it. With that, it is time for our no cap segment. So I am going to pull a question out of the cap and ask you to give us your most honest and real answer. And by the way, I put on my Instagram last week asking for some requests. So this one is a I don't know if we call them viewers or fans. It's a viewer submitted question. Okay, so let me open it up.
Wonderful.
Okay, well you've had okay. I think you'll be a good person to answer this. What is the best event in your opinion, and what is the worst event in your opinion?
Through my experience, the best event, I gotta say that 200 IM. I don't swim it anymore, but I loved swimming it when I did because you get to switch strokes at each 50. So 2 IM gets a shout out there. Worst event, in my experience, it's probably the 200 breaststroke. It's not a para event, but I've done a couple, and yeah, it's like 100 meters too much breaststroke.
Honestly, girl, we are on the same wavelength. I would put the 200 breast up there as one of my least favorite as well. And I would also give a second shout out to the 200 IM. I was kind of hoping you might have put in there the 400 free just because I feel like now we're like 400
Mhm.
free sisters. But I definitely think the
For
2
sure.
IM is more fun because you truly get to do a little bit of everything. And it's kind of the sprint of every stroke. So
I
it's
love
over.
that part of the race.
Yes, yes. You could just literally like give it your all in each discipline. And before you know it, the
Hmm.
race is done and you're at the end of it. And we have some pretty great Canadian names to cheer for in those strokes. I know both on the Paralympic and Olympic program. So Canada's lucky. We're
Yeah.
lucky. And I'm so grateful for your time today, Abby. So thank you again. We'll be rooting for you in Singapore. Have the best adventure, safe travels. And with that, good luck. September 21st, as a reminder to everybody, watch Para Worlds and make sure you are cheering on Team Canada. We're grateful for your time. Thanks, Abby.
Thank you so much, Britt.
Have a good one.
Bye.
Thanks, Abby.